Thank you, everyone, for coming to join us for our welcome meeting. This is something we are trying out this year to see if doing them online and adding them to the website later on allows more people to access it. So we're very happy to take any feedback that you might have on the meeting at the end or at another point when you come to speak to us. So Mrs. Casamassa will be speaking to you about the classroom and the way that things work in reception and nursery in a few moments. But before we move on to that, I would just like to speak to you about our golden rules. So we have 5 golden rules at Waterside. We show respect, we are kind, we look after property, we keep ourselves safe, and we try our hardest. And we speak to the children about these rules all the time. We speak to them in assemblies, day to day, just general conversations we're having. We do learning about them in the classroom as well, just to make sure that children really know and really understand our golden rules, because we believe that if we've got everyone following these rules, that people will be able to be successful and enjoy school in the way that we're intending. So to support with that, we have regular rewards for the children who we spot following our golden rules. So some of the daily rewards that we have, we might praise the children, we might give them house points, we might speak to parents to share positive things that have happened at the end of the day. Or if children have done something really fantastic, they might be brought down to my office so that I can give them one of my compliment slips to take home. Weekly, we have Star of the Week. So children who have been seen following our golden rules are identified, and they get to come up in our celebration assembly and receive a certificate where the adults share all the fantastic things that they've been doing. We have postcards that we send home to help keep parents informed of the great things their children are doing, and we have positive phone calls each week as well. And at the end of a term, last term we introduced our Waterside Wonders. So those are for children who have been seen to be demonstrating our golden rules all of the time. And 2 children at the end of each term from each class get a Waterside Wonders badge and certificate. And then we also introduced last term our House Points team reward. So last term we had we set the hall up as a cinema with some lovely soft seating. Children could sit down, lay down, enjoy a film with a few snacks and drinks, and that will change each term. And at the end of each term, the house points will be made fresh, and opportunities will start again at the beginning of next term. Just as we have rewards, we also have consequences for children where they're not following the golden rules. So we follow a system of a reminder, a warning, and then consequence. So if we notice that a child isn't, for example, listening on the carpet, the teacher will give them a reminder. So it might be Louise, sitting down and facing the front whilst I'm talking, thank you. That's the reminder. If a child continues to not demonstrate the rules and continues not to listen, they'll be given a warning. And the warning would sound like, so Louise, you need to look and listen whilst I'm talking. Otherwise, you're going to need to spend a little bit of time practicing at break time. And then if a child still does not follow that warning, then the consequence will be put into place. So at their break time, they would need to spend some time practicing. And that's what we call an educational consequence, because we're trying to teach the children about the behaviours that we want to see, about those pro-social behaviours. We have something called lunchtime reflections, which is where children can come along to complete their consequences. more often than not in reception and the early years in nursery, the consequences tend to be completed in their setting, but that is something that could be there if needed. We also have protective consequences, and protective consequences are put into place to try and stop certain things from happening if we've seen them happening regularly. So, for example, if a child had been hurting other children, they might have a protective consequence if they can't use certain areas of the playground, or they might only be able to go out to play if they've got an adult nearby. Those protective consequences are there to keep the child and the other people around them safe. So attendance, you will have seen that there's a big push from the government around school attendance. We are aiming for a minimum of 97% attendance for the whole school. And some of the ways that we try to encourage that is by giving rewards. So we have a weekly class attendance reward in our celebration assembly. So the class with the best overall attendance gets a certificate and they get to take the trophy back to their classroom for the week. But we do understand that sometimes children do get ill and they're not able to come in. So we have a 97% club. So that's for any child that's reached our target of 97% attendance at the end of a term. They get to have a certificate and a biscuit with Mrs. Powell and myself to celebrate that. And for those children that do manage 100% attendance, we have our bronze certificate that they'll get if they have 100% attendance for one term, a silver certificate if they get 100% attendance for 2 terms, and a gold certificate for if they get 100% attendance over 3 terms. And last year, the Parent Teacher Association, the PTA, they also gave each child with 100% attendance for the year a sweet treat to go along with their certificate. So there's some of the whole school things that we're focusing on, but I will pass you over to Mrs. Casamassa now.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick sort of tour of what early years looks like here at Waterside. I'm going to talk about nursery and reception and just explain how things run in the classroom and the learnings that your children will be involved in. So we've got some photographs here of the nursery classroom. Lots of you have been in there for our stay and plays, and you're aware that we've got a nice big open space. We have the role play area, we have the sand area, the Play-Doh, there's the water area as well, along with cosy areas like the book corner and lots of construction for the children to play with. So the idea is really that everything is accessible for the children so that they can come in and during their free time, during their child-initiated learning, they have some provision set up for them on the tables, and then they are able to access the classroom as well. So normally they'll have a carpet session, and then we will often open the doors, and then it will lead you through to reception, which looks like this. You'll notice that the reception classroom looks a little bit more formal than the nursery classroom. We do have the table set up in reception because we do a little bit more table work, especially as the year goes on, during phonics and math times as well. So again, the nursery classroom is very similar. We do have our small world area, we have our Play-Doh table and painting area, as well as the water. And then on the other side of the classroom, we have our reading area and all the resources that the children can access during their free time. So this is what the nursery timetable looks like. So this is for the nursery children who stay until lunchtime. So you'll notice that every day we try to keep the same routine to get the children into a really good pattern of their morning routines, coming in, finding their name, doing their self-registration, hanging their coats up. These are all the things that are going on at the moment in the classroom. Every day we're training the children to do these jobs independently. And then again, every day it's register on the carpet. We do our days of the week to get the children understanding the dates and the days and the months. We always do a quick wake and shake, normally a dance or a song on the carpet to get the children's bodies moving, get their bodies awake, their minds awake, and then it's carpet time. So during that first carpet time, it's maths every morning, followed by snack, Then the children have their choosing time, their child-initiated play, and then they'll have a phonics and a guided reading session just before they go home at 12. This is the reception timetable. It's very similar in the sense that we keep the same routine every day. Again, it's the register, calendar, wake and shake. We have maths in the morning where we look at their number work, followed by snack time at their tables, child-initiated learning for choosing, and then we have phonics just before lunchtime. After lunch, the subjects will change. As you can see from the timetable, on a Monday, the children will have PE, followed by child-initiated learning, so their choosing time. Tuesday is science, Wednesday is history and geography, so this will alternate each half term. Then we have music on a Thursday, and then we have PSED and RE. So that's normally a carpet session for about 30 minutes where the children have a bit of input, and then they can go away and do some activities and have some choosing time after that, and then story and home time. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the phonics and the reading. First of all, in reception, we are starting our daily phonics sessions at the moment. We are looking at set 1 sounds. You will be sent some information about this, and the children will take home a reading book every week, their book bag book, with the set 1 sounds, so you can practice with your child at home. This will come home each week, and we'll also be visiting the library every Thursday. We'll say to parents, we'll put information in the folders as well, but reading at home is so important, even if it's 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and if you could record it in the orange reading record that you've read with your child at home. This is really encourages language, communication, discussion, getting your children to explain what they can see in the pictures, what's their favourite part. So lots of questioning, loads of discussion, and they're to be brought into school daily, please. So in reception, it looks slightly different. So nursery take part in daily guided reading sessions. And this is where the whole class sit in a big circle, and they have a different story to focus on each week. So, for example, it might be Dear Zoo. And the children read it together as a class. They talk about the characters, the setting, the events, and then what will happen is the children will take home that book that they've been reading in class to share with you at home. So that will come home every week. Also, they'll bring home a library book every week. They'll be visiting the library on a Friday. And again, if you could just support this at home, encouraging the children to talk about what they're reading, what they can see, and make a note in their orange reading diaries.
And with those books, it's not necessarily about them being able to really read the words, but the books have been chosen because of the kind of vocabulary that they develop. And the children will revisit the books over the year. So the hope is that children begin to learn the books, and they might say the words along with you as you're reading, hopefully over time. But don't worry if your child isn't able to sit and read the book at this point. This is about language development, developing a love of reading rather than being able to decode words at this point. Just to give you a quick overview of what we're looking at this half term. So in terms of reception, this is what we have for each subject. So we're looking at science. So for science this half term, we're looking at living and non-living things, looking at animals. So each week we focus on a different animal. So week 2 is mini beasts, week 3 is on the farm, week 4 is animal homes, week 5 is zoo animals. And this is something that every week we'll focus on this, and there'll be lots of activities and the provision to enhance this learning that's going on in science. Again, in geography, we're focusing on maps and our school. So this week, the children, for example, have been looking at pirate maps. They had a pirate story. They made their own pirate maps. They had the dressing up on. And as each week moves on, we'll look at other sorts of maps. So we'll move on from pirate maps onto the school and building their own map out of Lego, or making it practical and engaging for the children, and investigating maps and things as well. So all these sort of things will be going on tapestry, so you'll see them on there. So if you can
continue this learning at home, that would be great. We're doing junk modelling in design technology, which the children absolutely love, working on scissor skills, cutting skills, choosing resources, making models. So that will be going on in our art area. Again, we had music lesson today. The children loved it, joining in, listening for the instruments. So the music will be all about me this half term. The PSED again is all about me, so learning about how I'm feeling, being at school, being kind, looking after our things and looking after other people, and what are our responsibilities, again looking back at our golden rules. And for RE, again, it's all about family and friends and role models, and that links in well with who we are, our family. So that's an overview. I have got that on my classroom door, so if you want to have a look or take a picture, or I can send it out, that's there for you to have a look at. This will be going on after half term. You'll see that geography switched to history, and it's again in science. It's I'm a scientist, so we're doing lots of experiments, lots of practical activities, learning about pushing and pulling, floating and sinking, melting and freezing. So it's a lot of practical investigation which we'll have out in the environment for the children to explore and experiment with. History is having a peek into the past, so that's quite a nice way to look at our sort of family trees and where we come from and who are we. And actually during that topic I will ask you to send in a baby photo as well. That's another activity that we do, guessing who the baby is. Art, we have the art activities out daily. We're looking at mark making. The topic is called Drawing Marvellous Marks. So it's really encouraging the children to be creative and using different media, pencil drawings, and also doing portraits as well, thinking about their face and what they can see. Music again follows on. This term's topic is called My Stories, and each week they have a different focus, a different song, which we build on as the week goes on, and then we learn some songs every week as well and do a performance at the end of the lesson. PSED for the second half term is what am I good at, celebrating them, thinking about what they've achieved, why am I special, thinking about their families and their home and who their friends are. So it's continuing on that, about them, all about me. And finally, RE, it's the sort of December is the Christmas, the Nativity. We'll be looking at, saying thank you, the Christmas story, the shepherds and the wise men, which will be covered in our Nativity as well. Now, the nursery planning looks slightly different. So what we've done in the early years is we've tried to link the nursery like overarching topics, which also tie in really well with the reception topics as well. So for the first half term, they're going to be looking at animals, which fits in with the reception science, learning all about different animals. And again, all these things are out in the provision in the nursery. Quite often you'll see the sea creatures in the water. Mrs. Jones will have lots of farm animals and pigs in mud and looking at habitat. She's got ice cubes in the water tray, looking at penguins and polar bears and things like that. So they're focusing on animals. The books they'll be looking at for their guided reading link in again with the animals. They'll be looking at sort of deer zoo, brown bear, bear hunt, and also other books in class like the rainbow fish. And the themes that we also cover in class are obviously time. So Harvest Festival will be going on in the first half term, and Diwali, and that's across the whole early years unit. In the second half of the autumn term, we're looking at traditional tales in nursery. So reading those traditional tales, the gingerbread man, the enormous turnip, really encouraging the children to think about the stories and the language that comes out during those discussions. And then the themes, of course, will be bonfire night. We've got Remembrance Day in that half term, and then we'll have our Christmas nativity. So the PE days for nursery will be on a Friday. So we ask you to send your children into school in their PE kit on a Friday. If you are in nursery, there is a sign on your door just to remind you. For the reception children, their PE day is on a Monday. So if you could send the children in on a Monday in their PE kit for reception children, that would be great. Just going back to how you can support your children at home, we've already talked about the importance of reading and developing their early language skills. Again, it's not always about reading, it's about the discussions and the vocabulary and the language that they're using, even to describe the pictures. The children will often come home with a picture book. The idea of those picture books is that they're looking at the pictures, they're describing what they can see, and they're telling the story in their own words as you're turning the pages, even just using a book appropriately, opening the book the correct way, turning the pages. And then once we start going with our phonics, you will be starting to get a few more books with letters in. So it'll be sort of words, CBC words we call them, which focus on letters that we've been doing in phonics. So it might be at, mat. And again, that's for them to do independently. There's lots of guidance with the phonics of how you can help them at home. Yeah, the independence as well. So we really, really ask you to help your child to become more independent with the dressing and undressing, you know, taking their jumper off, going to the toilet, doing their buttons up, even using a knife and fork. All these independent skills we're trying to encourage on a daily basis with the children. So if you could do that at home as well, that would be really helpful. Also, if you're interested in helping out in the school, listening to the children read or helping setting up the classroom or trips or things like that, please do reach out to the school office. We're always very grateful of an extra pair of helping hands. So communication, well, Mrs. Jones and I, we're always on the door at the beginning of every day and at the end of the day. So I would probably say the end of the day is a better time to catch us when we're seeing the children out. If you have something really important to say, if you could just wait and let us see the children in safely or see them out safely, and then we'll be more than happy to speak to you on the door. We've got our senior leadership team on the gate every day, so you can see them on the way in. If you'd like to arrange a meeting with me or Mrs. Jones, then please contact the school office. The email is on the screen, and just say that you'd like a meeting and we can arrange that as well. The school does send out fortnightly newsletters, so please do look at those because there's key dates on there, so make a note of the key dates. We've also got our Facebook page. Thank you so much for returning the permission slips. If you haven't done that, I would be grateful if you could return those Facebook permission slips because we update that every week. We have the New to Waterside Academy on the website, as well as the tapestry, with which I think all of you actually have joined. So there are the ways of communicating with us at school. Does anyone have any questions? If you don't feel brave enough to ask now, you can always ask tomorrow. If you think of something at a later point, you can always come and speak to us.
Okay. It seems like there are no questions. As Mrs. Casamas said, if you do have any questions at a later point, please do feel free to come and see us and speak to us. We're always happy to help. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
See you soon.